This is interesting. What is the first cause of the philosophy in the ancient Greek society, and why philosophy is was born in ancient Greek society? The first type of cause is that there is a relationship with the myth, in particular because if we understand the history, the ancient history, the pre-archaic history of the ancient Greek society, we have to understand that in particular there was some relationships with the Greece and the east part of the Greece, in particular the Asia Minor, the territories, the lands of Asia Minor. This is really interesting. In fact, the first colonization by the Greece, by the Greek from the Greece. It was and began during the 10th century BC and also 9th century BC, 8th century BC. And this is interesting because, for example, first cities that was founded by Greek people that from Greece went to the territories of Asia Minor, in particular at the beginning at the western territories of Asia Minor. These cities, for example, Miletus and also Smyrna, Smyrna actually Izmir was founded in the 10th century BC. Miletus probably was founded in the 12th, 11th century BC, and Smyrna Izmir was founded in the 10th century BC. This is interesting. In fact, at the same time, some stories, in particular mythological stories of the near civilizations of the East influenced directly the populations of the Greece that arrived in Asia Minor because the first colonization, and they passed to the Greek people, in particular to the Greek people of Asia Minor, the first type of myth, the very type of myth that the Greek people transformed, or better, uh, created in a new type of a new type of modality. In particular, because, for example, Greek people, influenced by the people of the East, changed the name of the gods in their myth. Instead to use, for example, the name of the gods of the myth of the East, used applied a new type of name of gods. And this is really interesting. In fact, for example, Hesiod, this man who probably was born in Boeotia in the 8th century BC, as probably Homer, that was born in Greece and wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. Hesiod, in his Theogony, explained about the gods. In particular, explained about, for example, the first type of gods against Cronus, the father Cronus that wanted to kill, sorry, his sons, in particular Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. And Zeus, differently by his brothers, succeed against his father, and there was a battle between the gods and Cronus, where Zeus fought against Cronus and won the battle. And with this situation, there was a new type of order where the gods of Olympus dominated the world. In particular, Zeus took the sky, Poseidon took the sea, and Hades took the underworld. And there was a tripartition of the world and the order. According to Homer, this order was decided by the destiny, in particular, the fate, where the destiny decided to give to Zeus the sky, to give to Poseidon the sea, to give to the Hades the underworld. And instead, according to Hesiodus, the situation was decided only by Zeus. In particular, Zeus divided the world into three parts in particular, and decided him to give to Poseidon the sea and to give to Hades the underworld. And he took and maintained the power of the Olympus, and took the sky. In particular, he began the king of Olympus. This is really interesting because this type of situation is, in fact, a situation where the gods are immortal, are all immortals. In particular, they maintained a specific type of power, but they are not eternal. This is another specific type of a character of gods. In fact, if we understand this, we understand that there is also a movement of the time in relation with the gods. In fact, Zeus arrived in a specific type of moment as his brothers and as their sons. But at the beginning there was a movement that produced a situation with a different type of gods. In Hesiod, in the Theogony of Hesiod, a first type of movement was in relation with the chaos. A first type of god was chaos, a second type of god was Uranus, Gea, etc. And these gods, then chaos, produced other type of gods, but always in relationship with time. And when philosophy began, in particular in 6th century BC, and in particular in the territories, this is interesting, in the territories of Asia Minor, that territories that influenced the Greek people on the myth, in particular because near at the east. In these territories, in the territories of Asia Minor, was born philosophy, in particular, for example, in Miletus with Alete, Anaximandro, Anaximandro, but also at Ephesus, and also, for example, in Abdera, with Leucippus and Democritus, they theorized the atoms that with their union produce things, and with their movements produce things, etc. But also Abdera, that it is in the ancient Greek society, it was not in Greece. It was a colony of Greece, but also Miletus. In Miletus, there were some specific type of philosophers, monistic philosophers, as Talete, Anaximene, Anaximandro, that theorized a specific type of principle, that it was in a time, but it was produced by a specific type of eternity. This is another point that it is really interesting. In fact, this type of philosopher, Anaximene, Anaximandro, Thaletes, explain a new type of element, that it is produced by an eternity. And this eternity is not in a time, but is outside the time and produced the time. Is a principle that is not have not a cause. This is also really interesting. And another type of philosophers that, for example, uh, maintained a specific type, had a similar type of point of view. It was, for example, Heraclitus, that was born in Ephesus, and he theorized that the main principle was the theorized that the principle is fire. But in particular, if we understand, or better, if we see this situation, we understand that there is a main difference between the first philosophers and the epic in general, and the main creed in the ancient Greek society, because that was influenced in particular by Homer, but also by Hesiod, because in the classical point of view, the gods participate into the world and change the rule of the law, in particular because there are no specific type of rules in relation with the world, because each god has his particular monopoly into the world and control a specific type of part into the world. Therefore, there are no specific type of rules in general. A lot of people in the ancient Greek society believed that gods controlled some things and used and applied their power to impose a new type of rule on the things. Instead, the philosophers and the philosophy in general had a new type of idea, in particular that there are some rules that are in the reality. These rules are totally objective, and yeah, there are some philosophers who thinks that the reality is a relationship between atoms. Other philosopher who thinks that reality has a specific type of cause, has a specific type of principle, as the water. But in particular, the first type of philosophers didn't understand on the specific type of monopoly of that single god. And at the same time, some of these philosophers um, believed in a specific type of principle, in an eternal principle that create also the time, or better, produce something that is inside the time and in relation with specific type of rules, objective rules that we can understand with investigation, studies, etc. Plato also, that it was a philosopher of the 5th century BC, arrived, for example, to theorize the demiurge, a specific type of god that assembles that everything. And at the same time, according to Plato, the demiurge, his god, creates time. Also, Aristotle in 4th century BC arrived to theorize a first type of cause, a god that produced the specific type of movement which produce another movement, etc., etc. And the first cause, God, produce the movements in relation with the law, the love.